Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, June 15th, 2017, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, everybody's down. Yep, except Shanghai. It's a lot higher. Not a lot, but pretty good up. So what's going on? Well, yesterday, you know what happened. Fed came out and they raised interest rates again. It looks like they're going to raise them one more time this year. And what did that do to gold? Boop, pushed it under that 1260 mark. And for the equities, well, U.S. stocks closed down as large cap technology stocks faced renewed pressure. And the economic data isn't all that great. Isn't all that bad, isn't all that great. So again, most people out there are looking for some kind of a change in the marketplace. Crowded technology sector causes most concern for investors. Nearly 40% of those who took part, this is from the Financial Times, who took partner surveys said buying the tech-heavy NASDAQ was the most crowded trade in the markets, up 26% from last month. And investors are also becoming less sure about the future of the economic growth in the United States. The portion of those expecting rising growth had fallen to 39% this month from a peak of 62% in January. Outside the United States, they're looking for the markets to go up a bit more. Under 20% of investors think the continent's equities are still undervalued. So expectations for rising growth is now only at 39%. Again, a drop from 62% is a significant number. And oil. Well, oil prices are down again. Again, I have to say we have been the most accurate that I know of in calling these oil prices. And when you look at what's going on, it's very simple. U.S. crude slips 27 cents, a new 7-month low, as OPEC fails to curb glut. Yeah, no kidding. And now they're looking, of course, for more crude coming out of the United States. U.S. shale's rebound sets stage for supply growth to outpace demand this year. U.S. shale oil production will make up more than half of the 1.5 million barrel per day non-OPEC supply growth forecast for the next year. And it's expected to rise by 780,000 barrels a day after an increase of 430,000 barrels a day in 2017. And of course, that's for 2018, where they're looking for the increase. And what happened? They cut back on production with OPEC and non-OPEC countries, including Russia, cut back about 1.8 million. Well, that number doesn't exist anymore. The cutback's a lot lower than that, and this alone almost makes it up. Plus more production coming out of Nigeria, more production coming out of Libya, and when you look at gas inventories in the United States, they were up sharply. And around the world, they're near record highs. Other inventories. Oil glut exposes OPEC's limits. Overall prices are down 17% this year. Now, what's that going to do to boost economic growth? Probably very little, but it is a positive. Less money you're putting in your tank, maybe you're putting it in your mouth or somewhere else, who knows? Adding to the oil traders' angst, U.S. oil production has come roaring back to life. The International Energy Administration said U.S. crude supply will grow almost 5% on average this year and nearly 8% tomorrow. Go back to 2014. Listen to the Saudi oil minister. They said they were going to keep pumping oil even as the prices went down to put all of the more costly oil producers out of business. It didn't work. And who's going out of business are we the little people, because rich nations' job rate passes pre-crisis peak. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? Well, not when you read it. But the newly created jobs are more polarizing and insecure than those that were destroyed, according to the OECD. Quote, a paradoxical moment for the developed world. Employment is rising, but so too is worker anger about globalization and inequality. The populist backlash against globalization challenges the policy advice offered by international organizations like the OECD, which have long emphasized the benefits of global integration, the report said. And they point out to the loss of manufacturing jobs and lousy service sector jobs. So, you put the numbers together, and here are the facts. Millionaires own a record 45% of the world's wealth, which they own over 75 trillion of the 167 trillion in total personal wealth in the world. By 2021, good news, that number's going to jump up from 45 to 51%. I wonder why these populist movements keep gaining strength. I wonder why the people are angry. Hey, I wonder why Trump won. Can't figure it out. And multimillionaires will see the strongest growth. Those worth 20 million to 100 million will see their wealth grow 8.4% a year through 2021. Those worth more than 20 million will own more than a fifth of the world's wealth. Isn't that great? Yeah, they hate us in here in America because also our freedom and democracy, you know, yeah, anybody can make it to the top. Yeah, if you got a line on the inside, you're one of the white shoe boys or one of the Wall Street gang, you know, the whole deal, man. So it's hurting everybody. The wages stink, and that's why you're seeing so much popularism movements around the world. But again, it's the leaders, not the message, that are losing. The message is still very strong. So they lost in France, they lost in the UK, they're losing in Greece. They brought in that guy Cyprus, who sold them out, still having a Greek debt problem, but he was supposed to be a so-called populist. Netherlands they lost. Finland's having their problems with them, but the core of the populist movement is very strong. There's a time now for a new third party. We write about it in your new Trends Journal. Yeah, take a look at that, huh? What a cover. Huh? Boy, and that cover really fits well, doesn't it? Perfect. History before it happens. The big news yesterday, GOP lawmaker shot outside Capitol. What a surprise. You saw this coming. It's our cover story. Again, look at the cover. Yes, a picture speaks 1,000 words. The gunman who slaughtered those innocent people was an anti-Trump crusader. Remember what we wrote in this Trends Journal. Here, listen. America's a divided nation as we have never seen in modern times, we wrote. It's at many different levels. Whites and non-whites oppose each other. The race issue, i.e. Black Lives Matter, along with strong anti-Trump sentiments, are very prominent on college campuses on both coasts and in large cities throughout the nation. Moreover, we forecast that as temperatures rise this summer, all it will take is a flashpoint event to escalate violence. It's not a United States of America, it's a divided States of America. You can see this coming, and this is just the beginning, unless we reverse the trend. And again, it goes back a lot of this to the hatred. It's become the psychology of America. We hate them Russians. We hated them Iranians. We hated that Gaddafi. We hate them Afghans. We can't stand those Iraqis. Well, the leaders, but we'll slaughter all the people in the meantime. Slaughter is an open book. So morality's gone at a lot of levels. People don't take responsibilities for what they do and how they hurt other people. Why should they? You don't see anybody from the Wall Street gang going to jail for all the crimes that they committed, or the war crimes committed by the political elite, plus all the other crimes. So that's the psychology of America. And again, as the economies go down, and as the gap between the rich and the poor widens, you can see where this is going. And again, even if you go back to the economic news, Cheesecake Factory cools down. Same-store sales are likely to drop 1%, ending winning streak, blah, 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 blah. The casual dining sector, which includes restaurants such as the Cheesecake Factory, has suffered the most. Traffic was down 4% in the first quarter, according to the NPD group. People have no money. Mall tenants play hardball in talks on lease terms. Credit Suisse is now saying more than 8,600 stores closed in 2017, they're projecting. That's up from 2,056 last year. So you can see where this trend is going. The economic strength is not there. Yes, gold prices are down. But with this instability going on, gold is a safe haven commodity. And one of the reasons is what we see next, and that is Iran war coming, World War III, market crash. That's right, you got another trend alert today. Information we're putting out, it's in your Trends Monthly. We keep updating it. We're giving you history before it happens at every level. While the media, all they do is they dumb down on one story. 2 days ago, it was the Sessions hearings in the Senate. A couple of days before that, it was Comey this and Comey that, the Super Bowl. They're not covering what's going on around the world. And the world is bigger than the little minds of the prostitute media in America. The story that we've outlined and our team wrote on what's going on with the United States and Iran and how this war is going to break out, you will not find anywhere else. And it goes back to gold. It's still the ultimate safe haven commodity. Hey, look what happened to Bitcoin. Where was it? Over 3,000. What's it at now? $2,400, down almost $600 in what? Just a couple of days. That doesn't. We're not saying cryptocurrencies aren't the place to go. We don't give financial advice. But gold, you could take possession of. It's in your hand. It's not in the air. And governments could control Bitcoin sales in a flash. And talking about wars heating up, U.S. deploys long-range artillery systems in southern Syria for the first time. And they've made up this whole thing, this whole zone where you can't attack because the United States is there. Quote, "We have increased our presence and our footprint and prepared for any threat that is presented by the pro-regime forces." This is according to U.S. Colonel Ryan Dillon, who told reporters that, quote, "We have increased our combat power in that area." Could you imagine the arrogance of this? An illegal war, And this guy's saying we've increased our presence and our footprint and prepared for any threat that is presented by the pro-regime forces. And then you read, U.S.-led Syria strikes said to take heavy civilian toll. That's only according to the United Nations. Their attacks in Raqqa and other places in Syria, according to Air Wars, a nonprofit group monitoring reports of civilian deaths, they're bringing the number up to around 3,000 in Syria and parts of Iraq. And no one cares. It's not even in the news. You know why? The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming, and they infiltrated the Trump election, and they're the ones that made him win. That's how stupid everything is. No talk about the truth. As we used to say in the Bronx, payback's a bitch. And when you read Trump's quote about what happened after terrorists slaughtered people in the Iranian parliament at the shrine of Ayatollah Khomeini, you wonder what Trump will say if the same thing happens to us. Here, this is what he said. Quote, "We underscore that states that sponsor terrorism risk falling victim to the evil they promote." Yeah. Let's go back to Syria, how the United States is stepping up the war there. And we heard our Defense Secretary, General James, quote, Mad Dog Mattis, on TV last week saying that the Pentagon was adopting, quote, annihilation tactics. Go back to that UN report of all those dead Syrians and Iraqi civilians. This craziness of leveling city after city. For what? We're going to get them ISISes. They stay in all those houses. 160,000 refugees out of Mosul already. And this doesn't make the news. Mad Dog went on to say about the civilian casualties, quote, "Civilian casualties are a fact of life in this sort of situation." Yeah, this sort of situation. We underscore that states that sponsor terrorism risk falling victim to the evil they promote. Is that the kind of situation you're talking about, Mad Dog? Murdering millions of people in the Middle East? The stupidity of destroying entire countries and their cities? So when it happens to America, they'll never say that the states that sponsor terrorism risk falling victim to the evil they promote. No, they're going to say they hate us Americans because they hate our freedom and democracy. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.